It's 3 a.m., and your dog is lying pressed against the crib, eyes closed, breathing slow. Every sign says fast asleep. That's the story you'd tell yourself. It's not the whole one, because behavioral researchers who've spent years studying dogs in exactly this position have found something almost nobody clocks. Your dog isn't just sleeping near your baby, it's telling you something, and most parents never learn to read it. Most people reach for the same explanation. Dogs are just naturally protective. It's instinct, hardwired, end of story. That explanation feels complete. It isn't. Because if it were simply instinct, every dog would respond to every baby the same way, on day one, with no learning curve at all. That's not what the research shows. What the research shows is something more specific, and honestly, more moving. In 2014, two researchers at the University of Otago in New Zealand, Min Hui Yong and Ted Ruffman, ran an experiment that's rarely talked about outside academic circles. They played 3 sounds to 75 dogs and 74 humans: a human infant crying, a human infant babbling, and white noise, acoustically matched to control for pure volume and pitch. The sounds were carefully matched for volume and pitch, so the only real difference between them was meaning. Babbling has no urgency in it. White noise has none at all. Crying is the one sound in that lineup that's built, by evolution, to be almost impossible to ignore. Then they measured cortisol, the stress hormone, in both species, before and after each sound. The babbling did nothing. The white noise did nothing. But the crying, in both the dogs and the humans, triggered a significant spike in cortisol. Your dog's body doesn't just hear a baby cry. It chemically reacts to it, almost the same way a human bystander would. And here's the detail that matters most. The dogs didn't just get anxious. They showed a very specific, repeatable combination. Submissiveness paired with heightened alertness. Not barking, not aggression, not the kind of fear response you'd expect from something that felt threatened. A quieter, more attentive state. The posture of an animal that has clocked that something is wrong and is waiting to see what happens next. That's not a guard dog reflex. That's an empathy reflex. Researchers call this emotional contagion, the most basic form of empathy that exists. The same rudimentary wiring that makes you tense up when you hear a stranger's baby cry in a waiting room. Your nervous system doesn't ask permission before it reacts. Neither does your dog's. But this raises an obvious question. If it's not instinct in the born knowing danger sense, where does it come from? A team in France, led by Charlotte Duranton at Aix-Marseille Université, found part of the answer in 2022, and it's almost unsettling how early it starts. They studied puppies, 1 and 2 months old, barely weaned, and they found that these puppies already synchronized their movement with nearby humans, matching pace, matching stillness, even with people they had never met before. Familiarity made no difference. The synchronization was already there, which means this sensitivity to human presence, this tendency to orient around us and mirror our state, isn't something your dog slowly learns over years of living in your house. It's closer to a factory setting, something selection pressure baked into the species over thousands of years of living alongside us, active before a puppy has even opened its eyes for very long. So by the time your dog meets your newborn, it isn't starting from zero. It's already fluent in reading human distress. What it hasn't done yet is learn that this particular small, loud, unpredictable creature is also human. That part takes a few weeks. There's a genetic piece to this too. Domestic dogs carry genetic variants in a stretch of chromosome linked to extreme sociability that wolves simply don't have. The same underlying wiring that makes a dog track your every move through the house is what makes it lock onto a crying infant as something worth its full attention, long before it understands what a baby actually is. The sensitivity comes first, the comprehension catches up later, and during those first few weeks, something happens that most owners misread as the dog figuring out the baby is fragile, all on its own, almost overnight. In reality, ethologists have documented this same pattern for decades in a completely different context. Dog play. Dogs consistently moderate their bite force, their body weight, and their speed when playing with smaller or younger partners, a behavior researchers call self-handicapping. A grown dog that will body slam another adult dog in play will noticeably soften around a puppy a fraction of its size. That same calibration, built for interacting with smaller dogs, appears to generalize to your baby. It isn't that your dog reasons its way to gentleness. It's that small, uncoordinated, easily hurt is a category its body already knows how to handle carefully. Now here's the actual answer to the question in the title. What is your dog actually telling you, lying there like that? Because the honest answer isn't, I'm on guard. It isn't even, really, I'm asleep. Most of what your dog is doing near that crib isn't threat detection, and it isn't passive rest either. It's monitoring, and it's telling you something in the only language it has. Here's something else worth knowing. A dog's stress hormones actually sync with yours over time, rising and falling in step with your own nervous system. The same mechanism applies here, except now there are 2 distress signals in the house instead of 1. Your baby's cries, which your dog is chemically wired to register as urgent, and your own stress, elevated in ways your dog has spent months or years learning to track in you specifically. Your dog isn't scanning the room for danger, it's scanning the emotional weather. And a crying baby, combined with a stressed new parent, reads to your dog's nervous system as exactly the kind of situation worth staying close for. Not because it understands what a baby is, because it understands, at a hormonal level, that something in the room needs watching. This is also why so many dogs seem to relax the moment the crying stops, and you start speaking in that soft, low voice parents use almost without noticing. Your dog isn't just reacting to silence. It's reading your voice, your breathing, your shoulders, for the signal that the emotional weather has passed. When you calm down, your dog's alert state eases too. It was never really about the baby in isolation. It was about the 2 of you together. Now, an important distinction, because this topic deserves honesty, not just warmth. Vigilance and guarding are not the same behavior, and confusing them can be dangerous. A dog that lies quietly nearby, that gets up to check when the baby cries, that softens the moment you pick the baby up, is doing exactly what the research describes. That's healthy monitoring. A dog that stiffens when someone approaches the crib, that growls, that positions its body between the baby and a family member, is doing something else entirely. And it needs a professional's attention, not a shrug. That's resource guarding, not affection. And it's worth taking seriously the first time you see it, not the 5th. Growling in particular is information, not a problem to punish away. It's your dog telling you it's uncomfortable before it has to escalate to something louder. The dogs that end up biting without warning are, disproportionately, the ones whose early growls got punished into silence, which doesn't remove the discomfort, it just removes the warning that used to come before it. And no dog, however calm, however many times it's passed every test above, should ever be left alone with an infant unsupervised, even for a moment. That's not a reflection on your dog's character. It's just how quickly things can go wrong between a creature that doesn't fully understand its own strength and one that can't yet move out of the way. If you're expecting a baby, the preparation that actually works starts weeks in advance, not the day you bring your baby home. Let your dog get used to baby sounds and baby smells before the real thing arrives. Keep your dog's routine as stable as you can once the baby's home, and reward calm, and only calm, near the crib, so your dog has a clear, quiet way to succeed. So the next time you find your dog lying outside the nursery at 3 a.m., not sleeping, not restless, just present, here's what's actually happening. It isn't guarding a perimeter, it's reading a room. Your baby's distress, your own exhaustion, the general hum of a household that's still finding its new rhythm. All of it is landing on a nervous system that's been shaped for thousands of years to notice exactly this kind of thing, and to stay close until it passes. Your dog was never trained for this. Nobody taught it to synchronize with a crying infant or to soften the moment you exhale. It came factory installed, refined over more generations than anyone can count, for exactly one purpose: to notice when the people it loves are struggling, and to stay near until they're not. That's not a guard dog. That's not simple sleep either. That's something quieter, and honestly, something better. A message, if you know how to read it. If this changed how you read what your dog is telling you near your baby, subscribe and leave a comment below. Did your dog change the moment your baby came home, or was it there from day one?